Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. No fancy editing or intro in this video. Unfortunately, the reason being, I'm in Mandeville, Louisiana, taking care of my mom. Actually got to head to the hospital next when visiting hours start. So hopefully everything goes well there, but I did have a few minutes where I could get out some content that I didn't have to film. And this is stuff from some of my friends who you've seen on the channel. Boy, I've got a year's worth of stuff, some really cool stuff from Bob, who you've seen on my channel. But today you're going to get some stuff from Dave. And Dave's been on my channel many times. He's had the potpourri video. He has the Bach walkthrough tutorial. He has Odyssey amps. He talks about his room in one of my videos. And that's one of the takeaways that people that visit him is that, yeah, he's got great gear, but he put a lot into his room. Not a lot of money, but effort, and the measurements prove it. One of the best systems, obviously, in the country. But today, he wanted to put some of his preconceptions to the test. And he sent me this video that I think on more than one metric is worthwhile sharing with you. So it entails 3 tests. He wanted to test his preconceptions with optical cables. And usually people have negative connotations with that. So he puts that to the test. Streamers, in particular here, he's comparing a high-end streamer, audiophile streamer, with a Mac Mini. I think this is a worthwhile test. And then also, he doesn't have a lot of DACs to test, but there are some debates whether DACs make a difference, and he did some testing there. And again, this is just one person's opinion with specific gear, limited applicability to everybody. But I think the macro takeaway is not just the specific comparisons here and whatever will resonate with you there, but the fact that he went in with preconceptions and he was willing to test it. One of the biggest problems I see with audiophiles is they come in with dogmas, they get embedded, and they live in these echo chambers where they never can test their own belief system. And that's the macro takeaway here, is that he was open to testing it. He tried to do as thorough job as possible without somebody else being there blind testing. And that's what I like to feature. And so while I'm out of town, I thought this was a great video to get to you. Plenty more to come from some of my friends. Like I said, Bob's got amazing stuff to share with you. But I wanted to get this out to you. Hopefully everything will go well with my mom, and I'll be back on track to go to Toronto, Warsaw, and plenty other content. Great stuff for you to come. Stay tuned.
I wanted to do a short video for you and share a little bit of information. Some of you may have seen my installation video of these here WR3s, and it's been several weeks now since that's all been complete, and they're dialed in. Everything is working really well. I have my custom Odyssey amplifiers made by Klaus. I reset their bias to better match these speakers. And everything is doing really well. There's so much detail and resolution, and at the same time, it doesn't harm. It doesn't. All of the foundation of the music is still there. Is still strong, and these electrostatic speakers by Potpourri are just outstanding. But I thought it was a good time because I have all of this resolution and just can tell, pick apart details and everything. It was time to revisit something I had done earlier, and that was streamers. I'm currently using, I have the Theoretical Applied Physics, the Bach for Mac system, and you can see this is my current, what I've got right now, and it's looking really good, a very good impulse response, frequency response. You know, I've got the XTC, everything is just really on the numbers and doing well. And I'm using the Mac Mini that has the Bach for Mac system in it as my streamer. And I think it sounds really good. But yet it still nags me saying, you know, well, how can it possibly, a Mac Mini, be sounding that good? There must be something just not right with that, you know? And so I wanted to compare it to another streamer. What I have on hand is my SOtM SMS 200 Ultra, which I've had for a while. It's an older unit. It has its dedicated power supply there, but it's still highly regarded, and the technology that's in it. And so it's a good stream, known as a good streamer. So I want to, again, compare that to the Mac Mini and see what happens. Now to do that, I've got the RME Babyface Pro, which is the digital interface for the Mac Mini that allows all the signals, external stuff, the analog, the digitals, to get sent into the Bach program for processing and get returned back. Now I've got analog inputs on the left side. You can see those are TRS jacks, and those are for turntable. And I have a set for my open reel. In the back right is a Toslink in, and that is for my digital inputs. That's for my disk transport, and also for today for the streamer. It's an optical in. And the problem is my streamer does not have an optical out. And so I've got to go through this converter here, which is a USB to optical, and then into the RME. Now, automatically, you would think, okay, that's putting that at a disadvantage. You're going through the conversion process. It's optical cable versus a USB cable. So anyway, quite a while ago, I did a test on that because that concerned me too. I didn't want to use Toslink at all, let alone go through a converter. And so what I did, I used my DAC, which is the May DAC, level 3 KTE. And I took the USB output from the SOTM right into this DAC. And then I took the optical in from the converter going straight to the stack out of the SOTM. And I listened, compared back and forth. And I would think I'd heard differences here and there, but I couldn't quantify them. I couldn't get a lot of them to repeat. And most importantly, I didn't hear anything negative. Something that drove my attention says, this is wrong. This is just simply wrong. This is right. That's wrong. Nothing like that. They were both, I enjoyed music through both of them. And so that told me that the Toslink was not disrupting anything. It was just fine. And so we can discount that as being an issue for this comparison. So anyway, I set it up. I've got the optical input for the RME coming from my streamer. And I'm using Rune. And Rune allows you to, right here, if you can see at the bottom right corner, I'm on the Bach. And then right here, there's SOTM. As you can see, I can select that one. And so I can bounce back and forth in real time and compare both streamers. Now there's something else you need to do. When you're using an optical in, a digital in to this Babyface Pro, you have to come over to your Fireface settings, which are right here. USB settings. And right in the middle you have clock source, which is right now it says internal. If you're using an optical in, you would select the optical in clock. It's normally, kept on internal. But if you use that optical in, you've got to switch that clock source to have everything proper. So I did it. I had it all set up and I listened back and forth. And, again, the same thing as I was listening back and forth to trying to figure out that Toslink cable was good or bad. I heard nothing wrong. I heard just music, good music. Music that I was drawn into it no matter which one I was listening to. There was a sense of rightness, a sense of correctness through either streamer. And I was thinking the SOTM would better the Mac Mini in some degree, some level of something. But I just didn't find that to be the case. They were both equally very good to my ears. And so that tells me that I have no issues. I mean, with the Mac Mini, for whatever reason, it's a fine streamer. And that overall feeling of correctness and rightness is important because that carries over to my next thing I want to talk about briefly, which is DACs. Again, I have the May KTE level 3, which is a very fine DAC, and I'm really, really pleased with it. But of course you wonder, so, okay, well, can I do better? What would a better DAC, what would that sound like? What would that improve? And I'd like to try one day, but not having anything, I was thinking, I said, well, I've got something, a lesser DAC. What if I throw a lesser DAC in there and then hear the difference from it going up to the May? And so what I do have, of course, as you've seen, is the RME. Now this Babyface Pro, it's an analog to digital converter. It's also a digital analog converter. I've just never used it that way because I've gone USB out of the Mac Mini to my Holo DAC. That's been my music path. And so I haven't had any need to do this. And if you look here, the two XLRs on the left, those are the analog outputs. The two on the right, those are for the microphone inputs for, setting the different filters and stuff for the Bach program. But all you have to do, you connect the analog outs over to your preamp, which for me right now is the Serene, also by Holo Audio. And I have them going into XLR2. XLR1 here, this is the output from my MADAC. The other thing you have to do, you have to be sure that the Bach program is all set to send everything out where you want it to go. And I wasn't quite sure how to do that. And in fact, I had made several mistakes thinking I knew what I was doing when I didn't. But here it found out it was so simple. So simple. And what it is, you have your configurator here. And what you don't want to do, what I did, I did each one individually, thinking, okay, that was going to do it. Change it over to Babyface Pro. What you want to do is here. Babyface Pro, analog output. Click. And now it's going to go through. It brings up Total Mix because it makes changes within Total Mix. And it starts to calculate and starts to sync up. It wants to go to 32, which, not an issue. You just click that. Back down to 96, and it'll reset. And then, and we'll show you on Total Mix what has happened. If you look at Total Mix also has presets, and they're on the right-hand side over here. You can see right there, that's Bach for Mac, analog output. Below it, optical output, and then USB output, which is where it was previously. When it got reconfigured, it went to the analog output all automatically. And so now you're all set to go. Now you have audio coming out the RME at the analog outputs. Now to put it back, I'll show you that real quick. Again, it's just to reverse what we did. You want to go up to here. You want to go to Babyface Pro and DAC. Click. And brings up Total Mix. Makes its changes. Continues to sync up. This time it looks like it wants to land on 44, 100. And again, we can switch that to 96. And it'll resync up. And I'm going to bring up Total Mix here, show you what happened over there. And as expected, it also switched Total Mix, but look where we are. Now we're on the USB. We're back to where I was to begin with, and playing out the USB connection from the Mac Mini going into my DAC. Okay. But that's all there is to it as far as to be able to give your internal DAC here listen and a try. You can easily compare, easily compare back and forth just by going from XLR1 to XLR2 and then, making the change right here. And so what did I hear? It was a little bit different than listening to the streamers back and forth, because this time I was hearing some differences, but I wasn't able to put my finger on exactly what I was hearing as far as exactly what was different, to what sounded right, to what sounded wrong. It was more, I wanted to hear, again, in piano notes, I wanted to hear particular things, and I seemed to be hearing what I wanted to hear. It was everything, both were very accurate, both, but only one drew me into the music. The Babyface Pro, it just did not do it for me. With the Holo May, I just wanted to continue listening to music. And it just, everything just, a feeling of rightness, of correctness, of how things are supposed to be, how music flowed. Again, I was just drawn in, and it seemed natural and correct. Babyface Pro, I'm not saying it did things wrong. I mean, it's probably technically extremely good. Maybe even better than the May. Of course, I doubt that. The May has some of the best specs of any DAC at any price. But I'm sure, I guess you can liken this to, well, this is more of a professional product, a pro audio product. And so it has some of those characteristics of being, I guess, extremely accurate, and which is not a bad thing. But again, it's just, I did not enjoy listening to it. Conversely, though, when I listen to my open reel in my LPs, going through the analog to digital converter on this, I have no issues. I noticed nothing wrong, nothing incorrect, total musicality. But going the other way, no, it's a no-go for me. So it's something, it tells me that, yeah, okay, going up to the May is definitely was the right thing for me. And one of the biggest changes, of course, were the speaker system in this room, but also the my new amplifiers, the customs by Klaus, that especially when I set that bias myself here for those speakers, it's just wow, wonderful. The biggest change and most wonderful change. But if your source is wrong, if you don't have all the information, or if you have bad information, that's going to limit how high you can go, or where you're going to, what you can achieve. So the DAC is very important, especially if you have a box system, a theoretical applied physics system, because that DAC, everything becomes digitized. All your analog you listen to is digital. And so you need to do outstanding conversion from that digital to analog to be able to listen and be able to enjoy that music. So, yeah, I don't know. So maybe a better DAC, who knows what would happen there, but I certainly know going down from where I am is not the direction to go. And that's about it. I just thought I'd share a little information. Hope you, found it interesting.